Heyo, EC here, and today I've got a controversial little video that I want to talk about. So, first of all, one of the perks of Switch Online expansion pack is actually getting a library of Sega Mega Drive / Genesis games. I know, depending on where you are, you name it, you call it either Genesis or you call it Mega Drive, it is what it is. But, it is what it is. But I feel like it's a little bit weird to see these games on Switch Online, and it's not because of Nintendo and Sega's history. It's largely because Nintendo have added this stuff on here. They've added all these games from the Sega Mega Drive on there. But these are games that obviously, for example, they don't own and would require double licensing in some cases because they're licensing obviously the Sega emulator and the Sega brand and stuff, and also licensing the games from Capcom, whoever they're licensing these games from. But also, I feel like they could have easily put some of their own stuff from, say, the Nintendo DS as a perk, as being on the higher tier of the expansion pack, rather than it being Sega games. Because let's be fair with Sega games, these earlier Sega Mega Drive / Genesis games are available on literally everything. These games are not special anymore. We've seen them re-released on every system since at least the GameCube. The GameCube had a Sonic collection of a bunch of Mega Drive and Genesis Sonic games. And we've seen and it's not just them. The Xbox 360 and PS3 had Sonic's Sega Mega Drive collection, which obviously included a bunch of other Mega Drive games outside of Sonic the Hedgehog. That was on the PSP. We've seen the Mega Drive collection on the Xbox One, PS4, the Switch. South has a Mega Drive collection, and then they did a whole one for Sonic as well, in Sonic, I think it was called Sonic Origins. And really, to me, it feels like these Mega Drive games, at least the ones that they've been adding, well, or at least they've added, because they don't really update this one, were kind of a weird choice as well, because they don't go for lesser known ones in a lot of regards. They seem to have a hodgepodge of stuff. They'll have Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but not the first game, which I think is kind of a weird inclusion. I know Sonic 2 is seen as the better game, but Sonic the Hedgehog 1 is where it all started, so that to me, that not being available to me just is kind of weird. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad inclusion. I'm not saying that having these games is a bad thing. I'm not saying that these games shouldn't be on Switch Online. I just think it's a little bit of a weird inclusion, and I've never really spoken about this on YouTube, and I know people are going to drag me through the coals in the comments, but I do think that Sega games on Nintendo systems aren't bad, because obviously they can put stuff on the Game Boy Advance and all that sort of stuff in whatever section. But I do kind of question why they chose this collection of games specifically. I know they're popular games, I know they're well-known games as well in a lot of cases, but also, let's be honest, these games are so widely available, I don't think many people will be that interested in that as a subscription perk, especially considering a lot of people who obviously grew up playing Sega games will now be will most probably be buying Nintendo consoles now, because obviously Sega and Nintendo have such a close partnership with certain games and stuff. It just makes sense to buy the Sega collection on a Nintendo console. And obviously, there's less content on the Switch Online expansion pack when it comes to Sega content than there is on the Sega Mega Drive collection. So that, to me, I feel like there's probably some agreement there where they kept certain games off the subscription as part of a licensing deal to keep people still buying the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis collection on Switch. I'm not sure how it all worked out. But I don't know, I just kind of think I just wanted to make a little rant video and talk about this, because it's just kind of weird to me that these Sega Mega Drive games are actually just there. And these games have been so widely re-released that, to me, them being there, it's not a big deal, to be honest. It's nice that they're there. It's nice to get the content, but I would have preferred if it was say Nintendo DS or something like that, which would have been, to me, just a better use of the resources, because those games weren't already available on the Switch, because obviously the Mega Drive collection was already available on the Switch. So that's just my take. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I know I'm going to get a bunch of angry Sonic fans in the comments being mad at me, but I guess I got to bring it on. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, and let me know your opinion on this in the comments down below. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.